Hi Leo, how are you doing? What's up? This is your March 2016 horoscope. This is for anybody that has the sun, moon, or rising sign in the sign of Leo. All right, my beautiful lions, what's going on for you guys in March? First, let's start out with the sun. Well, we start out the month with the sun still being in Pisces in your 8th house. It's been there since the end of February. And the 8th house is the house of taxes, and this is tax season, so that's definitely highlighted for everybody, but Leos especially might be paying a lot more attention to their money. And it's also intimate partnerships and relationships. It also highlights past traumatic experiences, but it's also joint finances and joint resources that you have either with business partners or partners in a serious relationship. So, Leo, this has been your focus since the end of February, and this continues to be your focus. Getting together with a partner, with a business partner, with a relationship, intimate partnership person that you're involved with, and discussing your joint finances and your joint financial goals. How are we spending our money? How are we budgeting our money, if even? Are we spending it on a bunch of makeup and glamour and, clothes and stuff? Or are we actually spending it wisely? These are talks that are always had when the 8th house is highlighted. Also, how well you are doing in your intimate partnerships. How can you boost the intimacy level within your partnerships? Leo, you are a very affectionate and romantic sign. So the 8th house energy actually feels kind of good to Leo because it's an opportunity to get really close with someone and share yourself intimately with them, and maybe even talk to them and tell them, hey, I would like a little more affection in our relationship. So, it's a great time to discuss those things with the partner if you are with someone. On the 21st of March, the sun moves into Aries, and this is your ninth house. Since this is a fiery energy, Leo, you feel at home in the ninth house. It's very fiery, it's very adventurous. The ninth house is an energy that's a fiery energy. It's similar to the energy of Sagittarius. It's very adventurous, very outgoing. Thank you. And it's also about higher knowledge, broadening your horizons, and travel. So Leos can be focusing on maybe taking some classes, expanding your horizons, expanding your mind by learning some new things, starting school, or just reading some really good educational books. Or it can also represent training for a job, because when we get to Taurus season, the sun's going to move into your 10th house of career. So that's an opportunity to shine out to the world in the career area by learning and training for some new things while the sun is in your ninth house. So those are things that can be focuses for you, but also travel. Leos love excitement. Leos love adventure. And this is a great time to travel. It's also a great time to just be adventurous around your town or city. Leos love things like festivals and carnivals and, going to the movies and fun stuff like that. So just being overall fun, optimistic, and adventurous is definitely the energy of the ninth house for you, Leo. So what is Venus doing? Venus continues to be in the sign of Aquarius, and she's been there since February, hanging out in your 7th house of relationships. Ooh, Leo. So a lot of Leos probably had some good luck in relationships during the month of February. You may have had some good times, and this continues, bonding with other people in general. It doesn't have to always be romantic, even though I know you'd like it to be, but just bonding with people in general, getting along with people, that's a great focus for you while Venus is in the 7th house. Also, getting a chance to really get to know someone one-on-one is definitely a focus as well. On the 13th of March, Venus moves into Pisces, and this is your 8th house. So more 8th house intimacy, intimate energy going on, a chance to really bond with someone on an intimate level, to open yourself up, because the 8th house is like the walls that we might put up sometimes to block people out from really getting to know who we are, like on a soul level. And when Venus is there, it softens things. It kind of like helps ease things and ease that energy out of you if you really do meet someone who you trust and who you wouldn't mind bonding with in that way and opening yourself up to. Really helps. Venus is also money, and when it's in the 8th house, it can bring some good things when it comes to joint finances, like a partner that you're with, a husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend can get a raise, which can help you guys out financially. Or it can be an advantage when it comes to tax season, getting a little more money back this year is a possibility. So that is Venus in the 8th house. But one thing to be careful of with the Venus in the 8th house energy especially is, Scorpios, how they are, how they could be a little bit jealous and possessive, a little crazy and obsessive when it comes to relationships. Well, represents relationships. The 8th house is the energy of Scorpio. So just be careful. Don't get a little crazy in your relationships. I mean, mind you, it's a very psychic energy. And if there's something going wrong in the relationship area, especially with Venus in the 8th, you can pick up that energy. You can pick up on those things like a sponge, a psychic sponge. So if there's something wrong in your relationship with your intimate partnership, oh yeah, you'll know about it while Venus is in the 8th. But don't get paranoid and just imagine, oh my God, there must be cheating, and start looking through their phone. I mean, I'm a Scorpio, so I think that's okay. Just kidding. But don't get too crazy and obsessive when Venus is in the 8th house. So we start out the month with Mars. Mars starts out the month for the first week, still being in Scorpio in your 4th house. And Leos, I know Mars in the 4th can be kind of difficult and challenging because Mars is a very aggressive energy. He wants to charge at people like a soldier, like a general, like, kind of angrily at times. And the 4th house represents family in our home. So on the negative side, yeah, conflicts can come up when it comes to family. Try not to cause them purposely. I know your family can maybe irritate you and cause some drama. And Leos, I know some Leos really like and thrive on drama, but with Mars in the 4th, it can get really intense. So just be careful with that. But the positive side is if any family issues come up, you'll want to charge at them and resolve them, because Mars doesn't like to see things that are unfair and unjust. He's going to be like, hey, wait a second, I don't like this, and I'm going to go after it and fix it. So fixing things when it comes to family and the home is possible when Mars is in the 4th. Mars has been there since January, and physically fixing things in your physical home is a great way to utilize this energy, like renovating things, redoing things around the home. Great for that. Once we get to the 7th of March, Mars is going to move into your 5th house, which is the house of Leo. Because Leo is the 5th sign on the zodiac wheel. Mars in the 5th is an energy that you are comfortable with, that you're familiar with, that you like very much, because it's all about having fun. It's all about getting out there and being creative and doing exciting things, going to sports games, going to concerts, going to anything that's creative. So getting out there and having some fun is definitely what you should do with the Mars and the 5th house energy. What you shouldn't do is, the 5th house also represents casual dating relationships, casual romantic relationships. Lovers' quarrels are a big possibility with Mars in the 5th. So just be mindful of that. And also the 5th house represents children. And Leos, you love children naturally. Generally speaking, I mean, for Leo. And you know what, the 5th house is children, and Mars is aggressive, so you may have actually some issues with your children come up. And I don't want to scare you, but I mean, they might try to challenge you head on a little bit more than usual, because Mars is an energy that likes to challenge and fight, and it's aggressive. So your kids may get a little out of control. You may need to put the smack down a little bit more when it comes to the kids, so just watch out for that. But on the positive side, with your kids, it's a great time to get out and enjoy some new activities and hobbies with them. And you're going to be super duper proactive because Mars loves action. So for the first week in March, Mercury is continuing to be in the sign of Aquarius, where he has been hanging out since February. And this is your 7th house of relationships. So more relationship energy continuing on from February. Talking about relationships. Conversing with people on a one-to-one level, because that's what the 7th house represents as well. And just continuing to do that and focus on that is what's going to be going on for the first week. Also, business negotiations, because that's what the 7th house represents, is negotiating with others. And Mercury loves to negotiate. He's a salesman. He loves to talk. He loves to negotiate. And he feels happy and at home in the 7th house. So a great time for that if you are involved in any business endeavors and have people that you want to join forces with in business. But partnerships, relationships, talk it out with your partner. Also just meeting people in general when Mercury's in the 7th house, and just getting out there and being social. The 7th house is a very social energy, so just being social and open to talking to different people is going to be a focus for you continuing on in the first week. But when we get to the 7th, Mercury is going to move into Pisces, and that is your 8th house. So more intimate talks. You're going to be less about the small talk and more about deep conversation. You're going to be more about talking with a partner on an intimate level. And you know, like I said, with Venus being there too, and the sun, it's all about intimacy. It's all about bringing any issues with intimacy to the surface and talking them out, even if there's no issues. Just opening those doors and knocking down those walls and really letting someone in and talking about your deepest feelings and desires is what Mercury in the 8th is going to focus on. Mercury moves very quickly. He's going to be in 3 different signs in the month of March. So on the 22nd, he moves into Aries, and this is your 9th house. So you're going to be less about the deep conversations, having deep-minded thoughts, and maybe even having some like old, you know, past traumas come up in your mind while Mercury's in the 8th. All of that is going to shift gears when Mercury moves into the 9th house. The 9th house is a house of optimism and faith and just having the belief that everything will be okay because there's always tomorrow. And coming up with big goals and plans, like seeing things from a higher perspective, because the 9th house on the wheel is the same energy as Sagittarius, and it's located right about at the 1 o'clock hour. Sun is like in the sky, in the middle of the sky, like shining and seeing things from, you know, seeing everything below it. Okay, so that's your point of view mentally while Mercury is in the 9th house. So coming up with goals and plans for the future, your big plans is definitely something to focus on, but also coming up with like travel plans, also educational plans. And also, since Mercury is there and it's a higher mind, you may have the patience to read more longer books or do some more studying and training for things, whether on your own or for work or business. So there are some eclipses that I must tell you about, Leo, that are going on in the month of March. Well, every month there's a new moon and a full moon. The new moon brings new beginnings. The full moon brings things to a head or to a close, to a final decision. And usually the effects last about a month. But when there's an eclipse, it's like 10 times stronger and more emotional, and the effects last like around 6 months or so. So a lot longer effects. So wherever the eclipses are going to be affecting your life is going to be a little bit more long term, so you need to really pay attention. On the 8th of March, the new moon eclipse is happening in Pisces at 18 degrees Pisces in your 8th house. So a new development when it comes to shared resources or finances. Maybe your partner has a new job that they get, or a raise that they get, or maybe they lose a source of income and you're going to have to make up for that. You know, that has happened before with eclipses in the 8th house. It doesn't have to always be scary and bad. It could just be a new source of joint income, which is awesome if that happens. Also, a new level of intimacy in your partnership can happen while the eclipse happens in your 8th house. Now remember, either a few days before the eclipse can be the build up, and you can start to feel the effects or see the effects, and things may or may not happen exactly on the day of the eclipse or a few days before, a few days after, but you will start seeing the effects like around the time of the eclipse. So just keep that in mind. It's not always like exactly on the day of the eclipse, dun dun dun, something happens, but it's a definite possibility. The full moon eclipse is going to be in Libra at 3 degrees in your 3rd house. The 3rd house is the house of communication. It's the house of the logical, rational mind. It's the house of getting things organized. It's the house of communicating with other people in your day-to-day activities, like the people that you see on a regular basis, like maybe your coworkers. It's also siblings and, you know, people that you see when you're out running errands. It's things like that, but it's also short distance travel. So I have seen, you know, the 3rd house be affected in a way where you get a new car, you know, or you have issues with the car, or electronic devices that you use for communication, and you have to get a new one. So that's definitely a possibility with the eclipse. But on a broader scale, finding a new way to communicate with others, you may realize, you know what, the way that I've been communicating with people isn't as effective as I'd like it to be, and I need to find a new way to do so. So that's a definite possibility with the 3rd house. But also it's skills of the hands. So maybe you decide you want to learn a new skill of the hands, you know, because you have all this 9th house energy going on at the same time. That's the higher mind. So you may start a new educational class or something that pushes you to learn a new skill. All right, Leo, well, that is it for the month of March. To wrap things up, your main focuses are going to be on your 7th house of relationships, your 8th house of intimate bonds, partnerships, joint finances, taxes, and also your 9th house of long distance travel, of education, and of having higher goals, higher mind perspective on things. Secondary focus is going to be your 3rd house of skills of the hands, short distance travel and communication, your 4th house of home and family, and also your 5th house of children, romantic casual relationships, creative projects, and your own business. So those are all your focuses for the month. I really hope that you manifest the energy in the most positive, beneficial way, and I hope you enjoy the month of March. Please subscribe to my channel. I will continue to do horoscopes every month because I absolutely love doing them for you guys. And I will see you in the month of April for your forecast then. All right? Well, take care, Leo. Peace.